Greetings and welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I'm Jim. I use he/him pronouns, and today we are playing Fall of Magic. This is a story game by Ross Cowman about a world in which magic is dying, and our characters are traveling to the place where magic was born. We're going to go around and say hi to everybody, and feel free to say who you are and just anything you would like us to know, or anything about previous times playing this game, or just about any game in general. And we will start with Katie. Hello.
Hi, I'm Katie. I use she/her pronouns. I love Fall of Magic. I've played it once before, but I think the fact that I played it for 15 hours straight means that I've played it like equivalent of what? 3 times, 2 times at least. Yeah. So it was a while ago, so I'm a little blurry on remembering what to do, but I've played it before, and I love this game. It's such a fun narrative storytelling game. I love BFF, but I think this is my favorite Ross Cowman game. Ross did a really good job on this game. It's really good. But yeah, I'm really excited to play with both Avery and Jim today. I played with Jim before. I've never played with Avery, and you're a new face to, at least, I know this isn't off the table, but I see you a lot in Off the Table Discord now, so I'm really excited to play with you. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yay! Awesome. And now let us head over to Avery. Hello.
Hi, I'm Avery. I use they, them pronouns, and this is my first time streaming a game ever. Well, I've streamed video games, but, you know, not tabletop. And I have played about 20 minutes of this game, and then I've listened to a lot of other people play it because I find it fascinating, and all the stories from it are really cool. Usually I play a lot of GM-less romance games and Blades-like games, you know, based off Blades in the Dark. And I don't broadcast those, but it's fun to start. And yeah, I'm psyched to be playing with this with 2 new friends.
Yay! Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I have. I actually backed the Kickstarter, and I have a physical copy of the thing, but I've never actually used it. I've watched people play it. I think I watched part of that like 15-hour stream that happened, and I've watched a couple of other games of it, and I've played it once over on Dylan's channel, Anarysis, and I think I played Someone Made Out of Paper. At that time.
Awesome.
I love that.
It's really awesome.
We were doing one of the recent variants that they came out with for this game, where it's like
yeah,
sort of axe and fiddle, something along those lines.
With the music. I remember they came out with a yeah, that's very cool. Like a DLC, I want to call it.
Yes. I played the DLC, some of the DLC. But this will be my first time playing the actual game just in and of itself. And so I'm excited to dig into it and do this. Before we do that, just as a reminder, like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. So if we hit something that's crossing a line for one of us, any of us can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and do something else. If something happens that we're okay having in the game, but we don't want a graphic description of it, we can type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it, or we'll put it behind a veil, so it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if we're exploring a topic or an area of roleplay that's particularly intense for us, but we want to keep going anyway, we can put an O in the chat to let us know that we're okay and that we're good to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we're moving into a difficult topic, or if we say or we do something and then think, maybe that might have been a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that again with an X, an N, or an O, and just let us know if we're still doing okay. Which I think is actually all the more important in GM-less games to an extent, because it's, you know, it's pretty much the whole thing. The whole narrative is by consent in a game like this. So this is very cool. Now, I am a little rusty, so I'm going to be, I shall be opening my hymnal here. And we're going to be going over the specifics as we kind of are putting our characters together. So magic is dying, and the magus is dying with it. We travel together to the realm of Umbra, where magic was born. Now, This is a collaborative storytelling game where we play a group of travelers in the company of the Magus. On the way, we'll encounter strange hosts, fanatic places, and perilous choices as we play to discover who our characters are, how they relate, and how our journey changes them. And this game, overall, it's basically a conversation that we have as we are putting our characters sort of through things, and we all take turns narrating different things. As part of our setup, we need to we have the scroll enrolled. It's right here. Looking to see if they did any special things for the Roll20 version. They did not. Okay. So each player chooses a name from the options listed on the map, or you can make up your own. Doesn't matter to me. And you make a note of that, and I'm going to see if I can throw something in here. On the overlay when we have our name picked out. So the first thing is the name. So does anyone know what their name is going to be?
I'm gonna name my character Pearl.
Pearl. Okay. And is it? Are we using the traditional P-E-A-R-L?
Yeah, P-E-A-R.
P-E-A-R.
P-E-A-R-L. God, that R and L just went together in my mouth and came out as one letter. Pearl.
Pear is a really good name too.
one of those old English, one of those old English names.
Oh yeah, like sure, whatever, however you pronounce it.
What are their pronouns?
She, her.
She, her. Okay. Awesome. And Avery, do you know who you're going to be?
As much as I feel like I should pick my own name, I think I'm gonna just go with one of the names on here because
they're good names. Nothing against them.
They're good names, and it's easier to pick a name and then a character than to. It's easier to pick a name based on a character than I said that very oddly. Anyway, I think I would like to pick Fawn. I will figure out pronouns after I figure out what my character will be.
Okay. No problem. All right. I am just to be utterly rebellious. I have now just wandered into fantasy name generators, and for some reason I'm looking at Hellhound names.
Oh God, Jim!
what are Hellhound names?
These are very strange. Okay. But yeah, we're not going to use Hellhound names. I think I might just pick off the map, unless something wonderful shows up on here. I'll do Caspian.
Good name. Good name.
I used to like. I used to like the Narnia universe.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, I remember very little. But and I'm gonna go with he him for now. And so the next bit is to choose your title, which it says to choose from the options listed on the map, and you add it to your note card. And two people can choose the same title. That's fine. Your title's a combination of a location plus one of the three options before the location.
Do you mind really fast if I just grab a notebook?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Sure, no worries. While that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and fill in a little bit in the way of names, just so that I have that here. There we go. I'm going to try to set this up so I've got that ready, and I should turn it on so that it can be seen. And let me also make it so that folks can Yeah, make it like that.
Follow along, yeah.
Is that visible? Let's see. It looks like that might be visible. Let me put something a little bit behind it so that folks can see it a little bit better. And as we're trying different things, background opacity. There we go. Probably that looks like that'll work. Okay. Put that in like bottom.
All right, sorry about that.
All right.
Just occurred to me that I have to write down descriptors.
Oh, no worries. That's absolutely fine. Does anyone have a thought about what title they want?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Midwife of Barleytown.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Sorry, I'm doing trigonometry while everything is happening.
You're like that gif of the woman with all the math around her head.
Yes, that is exactly who I am right now. And Avery, did you have any thoughts about who you wanted to be?
I'm trying to decide between two.
Crab singer, crab singer.
Listen, I have to think about what a crab singer is.
That's always my favorite part of Fall of Magic is that these can be anything you want them to be. Like I played a golem that was a marionette. That was what my golem was.
That's very cool. So the ones that I was thinking of were Giant and Raven. I was thinking of Raven as being a sort of not an actual raven, but a name for a spy master.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then Giant, I was thinking of just being a giant. But so those are two very different things usually.
A giant raven.
Giants aren't sneaky. Like in Dark Souls?
I mean, in their own community they might be. One never knows.
What if they're giants in Mistwood but normal sized everywhere else?
Everyone in Mistwood is very small.
Everyone in Mistwood is very small.
A large giant the size of a small giant.
Sorry. That tickled me so much.
Hell, now I want to be like a borrower or something.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, we can swing this in that direction if you want.
That's really why I love Fall of Magic, because the descriptors, they're so vague. You can make them anything you want them to be. Those words can mean anything to you.
Let's see. I think I am going to be... I think I'm going to be a raven. I think as someone who is very, very good at finding out information and also extremely small, like hand-sized.
Okay.
So are you like a borrower-sized spy master? Like you're you're the perfect spy because you're itty bitty.
I'm a borrower-sized spy, I think.
Thank you.
Nice.
Katie, that was inspiring.
I am so happy right now. I love this so much. I love this game. I love this idea.
Yes, a pocket spy. Yes, thank you, Levi.
I love this. Avery, thank you.
Awesome.
I think they're like 10 inches tall. So maybe more like a Barbie-sized spy, but like
still. I mean, yeah,
pretty little.
It's important. It's good to. It's important to have skills.
Like the best character concept I've ever had.
Let me see. I'm gonna go with. Let's see. What strange thing do I want to go with?
God, playing a child doesn't seem that strange to me anymore.
It's awesome. What if you're the largest member of our party?
No. I think I'm gonna go with. Okay, and so you took Raven of Mistwood.
Of Ravenhall.
Raven of Ravenhall. Oh, nice. That's right. I was reading the wrong thing. Raven of Ravenhall. Nice. Cool. I think I'm gonna take Fugitive of Stormguard.
Ooh.
Nice.
What are you on the run from, sir?
I don't know yet, but I'm excited to find out. Well, if we know that there are spies here, and there are, and so we know that there's something going on.
I think fawn is also they them. I think
they
we're
them?
all
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes. Yes, apparently there's a song about the fugitive, but we won't get into that right now. Yes, there was. I think that's one of the expansions, some of the DLC that they created.
The DLC.
So you're famous enough that you're in the DLC.
Apparently,
Ooh.
I might be. Okay, so we've got that, and yeah. So now that we've got our titles here, I think my character is human, or human seeming, at the very least. We're not sure what Stormguard is and what it really is, what kind of prisoners they have in there. So it may be that I only seem human. We'll see. We must choose a token. Everyone chooses a character token, and then we choose one more to represent the Magus, and we all share that one. So you see across the top, you've got 5 tokens. You got the tree, the ocean, the sword, the raven, or the candle.
As the raven, I would like the raven, please.
I feel as though you would like
That's
the raven.
all right.
You should be now. Hopefully, everyone should be able to move these tokens.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay. Excellent.
I picked the tree, if that's cool.
You got the tree? Sure. Absolutely.
I figured midwife and tree growing.
I'm gonna go ahead and take the candle. I think.
Okay.
I've not been the candle yet. This is like picking your piece in Monopoly, basically. Have I been the wheelbarrow yet? No, I have not. So I will also then turn that
sword
on
for the
Magus?
the Magus,
That sounds good.
or water.
Ooh, so
Is it
I
water?
can see
It
an
looks...
argument for either one.
Yeah. Oh, it is water. Okay.
Or is that land behind? Is that a road behind it? I can't tell what that is.
It's either a road or a river.
Yeah, I can
It's
see
really-
it. I'm like, I can see an argument for both, for it being water, for a road or a river. Sword. If we wanted to go with our Magus being like very heroic, I could see it being sword. Or very like wise, I could see it being like ocean. I don't know what direction we want to go with.
I'm not actually. I think a sword Magus would be interesting.
A very
I've not
heroic
tried that one yet.
heroic Magus. I haven't been with a very heroic Magus before, so yeah, I'm cool with that. If y'all are,
I'm good with that. Yeah, so we can go ahead and do that. I'm also going ahead and enabling in the on the overlay if I can grab it here, our coins, so folks will see kind of which ones we've got, which ones are us.
It's so funny, when I was thinking about playing this, I was like, oh, what if we had a child Magus? And then it turns out the child is in the party.
gotta play a child. Love it.
It's important.
Yeah, for viewers, I had talked about this before, but my midwife isn't actually an adult. She's like a little 10-year-old, maybe 11 or 12-ish. I thought that's probably a little bit better. But she's a midwife in training. It's what her family does. And for her to prove herself, she decides to take off on a journey to help the Magus. She thinks that would be like a big thing to prove that she knows what she's doing to help her family in Barleytown.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Very
Getting
cool.
such like Kiki's Delivery Service vibes from her, and I love it.
That movie made me have an existential crisis. I love it. That's the only studio. Is it Ghibli? Ghibli?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you could do both.
Okay, that's the only movie from that studio I've ever watched, and literally watched it and laid in bed, I swear, for like 12 hours afterward, just like, so yeah.
It's
Nice.
a really strong one.
But I loved it, but also broke down after. Like, what am I doing with my life?
So I'm going to continue looking through. In the Fall of Magic, we take turns, one at a time, to telling a small part of the story. During your turn, other players may contribute ideas, make suggestions, and act out other characters. But you get final say over what happens during your turn. We each also get final say over what is true about our own character. So on your turn, you move your character token and you describe the scene from their perspective. Before your scene ends, you use the story prompt to add an additional element to your scene. And so you place your token on any of the scenes at the Magus's current location as part of, when you start, and describe the scene. Then you use the story prompt, and that's basically how the whole thing goes. I believe we're picking up traits at the beginning here. Yeah. So that's a thing that we can pick up at Ravenhall, for example, is we can go through the Rose Garden and do that. So
Jim, correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to make sure I remember how to play this game. At any time, we can just pick to move to the next place, right? If it's your turn.
Yeah, that's the way we've always played it. Is basically on your turn, if your character's already on the map, you can move the Magus instead, and that moves us all along the dashed path.
Okay, so, I just wanted to make sure I was correct.
Mm-hmm.
So on this first one, we all have to get on the map first, right? And then after that, we can just, at some point, we can be like, I want to move the Magus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Totally. So I think that then, if we're going to go by regularly the way this is, the way that we initially start is when the Magus shows up in a location, we describe the location kind of from the Magus's perspective, and then the location and the story prompt from the perspective, and then it's basically tell us bits about who they are, that kind of thing. So do we want to start that way, or do we want to just dive into our own characters on this first turn?
I'm fine for either. I think it's interesting if we all are established beforehand,
sure,
like before the Magus shows up. But I'm totally fine if you want them to be the first person,
or even if you wanted to sort of combine both, like you want to have some of your character in it and bring the Magus along, if that's an option you wanted, It doesn't matter to me. Jim, you know how I feel about rules. I don't care.
Rules? What are they?
I don't know what those are.
All right. So let's go ahead and start off here. Do you folks want me to start off just by way of by way of whatever? Or
yeah, I feel comfortable doing it. You can also. Okay. It doesn't matter to me.
Sure. I think that, you know what, actually, Katie, if you like, I'm going to let you go ahead and start.
Yeah.
And we'll just go, we'll go down. Basically, we're going to just keep cycle through down, in the down direction.
I have an idea.
Good, excellent.
I'm going to go to the bridge.
Okay.
I think what you see is a little girl in a very obviously homemade dress, but it is like probably the nicest dress that she owns. It's very clear that it was made with love. It's yellow. It's like an overalls dress, so it's got big buttons at her shoulders, and she has brown ringlets of hair with a bow pulled up, half down, and big green eyes. And she is sort of skipping along this bridge. She doesn't seem nervous at all. If anything, she seems very excited to be stalking along this, coming to Ravenhall to do what she feels she has to do to prove herself. Excuse me, I'm sorry. She seems very excited. She has a glint in her eye of determination. And she's skipping along this bridge, and she stops for a moment in the middle of the cobblestone and looks around, and the grounds of Ravenhall aren't exactly what she's heard tell of them. She's heard that it's a very beautiful place, and it is in its own right. From here, she can see the rose gardens in the distance, but they aren't what she has heard them described as. And she sort of furrows her brows and wrinkles up her nose. The scent isn't as strong as she's heard them described. She goes over to the side of the bridge and looks over, because she's always heard that if you look into the river that you can see tell of your future. And she looks down, and all she sees is herself, the face that she sees right now. And she keeps looking, and she sort of pushes her little body up over the side of the bridge, because she's still, relatively short. She's only 11-ish years old, And she starts to get frustrated as she's not seeing her future. All she can see is herself. And she jumps back down, and she stomps her foot on the side of the bridge because she's frustrated and angry. And she leans down and grabs a pebble and pushes herself back up as she's about to throw this pebble into the river out of her anger and frustration. And she sees an older version of herself smiling up at her, and the older version winks. And for a moment, she stares at it, and she winks back, and she throws the pebble anyway. And she drops back down on the bridge. And she heads on to Ravenhall to go meet the Magus, because she's going to try to escort him in any way that she can, even though she doesn't know if she has any way to help him, because she's only a midwife in training. She doesn't have any magic that she knows of. She doesn't really have any skills. She's fast. She knows herbs. She knows how to plant things. She knows pretty good enough about gardening and how to take care of a household, but she doesn't know if those skills will help a Magus. But she's going to do something to help. That's what she's determined to prove. She can get to Umbra. So she sets her jaws on her shoulders, and she makes her way into Ravenhall. And that's my scene.
My God, you're good at this.
I love her. Thank you. I just described a little brat is what I did.
What a hero.
Awesome. So
we're allowed to ask questions, right, about the scene?
I don't see why not. Yeah.
I was just going to ask if this is like the first time that she's been to a big city, or if she does this like...
This is the first time she's ever been out of Barleytown.
Oh, honey.
Yeah. I mean...
would die for her.
I think this is... Yeah, she's never left Barleytown before. And probably has like a little knapsack in her hand and just like full of little cakes her mom made her, and her mom expects her to come home like in a day. Yeah.
What a champion.
Oh my God, that's so wonderful. Yeah. And so we're just gonna keep sort of going down and rotating. So the next turn would move to Avery.
Okay. I'm going to do the menagerie, which is the last time you saw real magic. So Fawn is, like I said, very small person. They have short, curly, like auburn hair, freckled skin. They are they're also quick, and probably not in the same way that Pearl is. Probably in the way that, like, you know, a small darting person is. I think the menagerie itself, I think the reason that they're in the menagerie is that they are riding a kestrel inn. I think they kind of use this as a like a landing pad almost. So the scene is them hopping off of this large bird of prey's back and like stroking its feathers and watching it fly away, and then sort of laboriously climbing down from the perch that it was on. And they get down to sort of ground level and are starting to make their way. And I think they sort of, in my mind, it's less a menagerie and more of an aviary, if that's all right. And they're, you know, there are all of these sort of mundane birds around this like big collection that are sort of even birds that you would expect to be like, you know, eating each other basically, but they're all flying around in the same space and being at least staying out of each other's way. I think they stop by a dovecote and attach a message to a couple of birds' legs. And send them on their way, probably whispering in their ear the destination. And they're going through this, what to them is a vast space, but what to a person of a normal size is probably like, yeah, it's like a hallway or something. Near the end of this space, they see a perch with a phoenix on it. And you can tell it's a phoenix because it has like glowing embers on its wings, and it, you know, has like flames at the end of its tail feathers, and they're not burning anything, but you can clearly see like this isn't a normal bird. And they're remembering when they saw this bird reborn from the ashes of its previous self, which was, I think Fawn is in their 30s or so, like mid-30s, maybe late 30s. And they saw this bird reborn when they were very, very young, maybe like 5 or 6. And they remember it being very scary because even at that time, magic was leaving the world. And there was, I think it was a public event. And there's always sort of a holding of your breath when you're waiting for the phoenix to be reborn. But this time there was a real sense of fear that it wouldn't happen because, you know, this is a world where magic is leaving. But it did happen, and I think once the new phoenix hatched, there was this uproarious applause and this like grand celebration. And they're remembering that and thinking, well, that was the last time that happened. And I think they sort of like bow a little to the phoenix and then continue on their way. And that's me.
I love that. I love that reverence for magic.
That's very cool.
I love that a lot.
Okay.
I also love an aviary so much. God, I love it.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's really cool. Okay, I think that I'm going to go to the scrying pool then. And I think
Do you want someone to play the Magus for you, Jim?
This is going to be why you serve the Magus, so yeah, that would be a good idea.
Listen, I could do it if you wanted them to come in at some point, if that's something that you wanted in your scene. You don't have to. I mean, it could be like a flashback or something. But
I don't know how it's going to go yet, but I think it might.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea I have, and you can feel free to to veto this, but we'll get into it. Is as this is going on, I'm just sort of trying to lay out the tapestry here. Scrying pool. So I feel like that in the depths of Ravenhall, there is this. It's sort of partially built around this pool that folks go. Sometimes they're permitted in to see what their future is. In the case of Caspian, it was compulsory because Caspian is on, shall we say, a very short leash. I think Caspian looks kind of bedraggled. He's about I want to say he's about like 5'9", 5'10". Looks very, very thin, very scraggly, and he has been cleaned up recently, so he does not look as scraggly as he looked when he arrived. But he still has, he's basically he's wearing the sort of the peasant burlap. They haven't really given him much. Well, they gave him, sort of a nice. He's got like kind of a over that they put it like a doublet on him, and it's not very decorative. It's just sort of very plain. He's just sort of like coming out. It's part of he was here because there's this sort of underground waterfall that they sort of that they had him bathe under. And he just sort of is coming out, and I think that there's a guard that's nearby like all the time. If anyone wants to leap into the guard, they can feel free to. But basically, this is sort of guard sort of nudges him to the edge, and he sort of looks down into the pool. He sees, as part of sort of the answer to this question, that sort of this pool is kind of got some very, very, very light sparkle to it, to the water, as it comes through. Not as sparkly as it used to be. I will say it is hard to tell how old Caspian is. But as he looks down, there is this, you see kind of this scene a little bit from when he was young, and you also see the Magus when the Magus was younger, and you can tell that they are related from the way they are behaving. Now, I have very purposely not described the Magus yet because I don't have any idea. I'm not sure what we want to do with them. But I was thinking something like siblings. If that is okay with
That's
folks.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
Katie used he, him for the Magus earlier. Are they brothers?
And also, we don't have to use he, him. That was just...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fussed about it.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't said any pronouns for the Magus yet, because I wanted it to be whoever we want it to be. So it can be they, them. It can be she, her. It can be others. Caesar. What do we think? What do we want the Magus to be?
Do we want it to be like, because you're a fugitive, and we can of course play to find out what the deal with that. Either you actually are a fugitive, or you were wrongly committed or wrongly convicted, something like that. What if it's like an older brother type of situation who's disappointed in the choices you made, that type of thing? Because love that family dynamic, don't we, Jim?
Yes. Yes, we do.
That was going to be my big question was, are they your older or younger sibling? Because that makes a big difference. And also, are they a younger sibling who's disappointed in you? Because that's also very interesting.
Even that to me, I feel like that hits so much harder for you as an older sibling to watch your younger sibling losing their power, and you've made some bad choice or something like that. Either.
Oh no!
How hard does that hit?
I mean, that's. I feel like that's the more painful option. So of course that's the one that I think I'm aiming at.
They're a younger sibling.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening.
I like the name. If we want to, maybe like we don't use this name, but you know their true name. Maybe they're the Magus to us. But like, what about the name Casper?
Oh my gosh.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that can be if we, no matter what pronouns we choose, that is a very gender neutral name. I think Casper's a very gender neutral name.
Casper, Cass.
Yeah.
Casper and Caspian.
Yeah.
Love that.
Nice. Oh God, this is wonderful.
Yep.
This is awesome to come in on as someone who knows nothing about this very fraught dynamic.
So I guess if we want to
I sort of love the idea of brothers. I just have this just dramatic idea of younger and older brothers.
Yeah, I'm into that.
It's just such a movie of cinematic relationship in my mind's eye, if everyone's okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm into that.
I'm fine with that, yeah. So I think what it is largely is it's the scene that we're seeing in the pool has a lot to do with just when we were kids. Him like... It's like him getting to take something of mine and my getting upset about it, but I couldn't do anything about it because it was the younger brother, and I'm not supposed to. You're supposed, and it's like something about an unseen parent basically scolding me. You're supposed to protect him. You are not supposed to beat him up.
Jim, shut up! No, yeah. Oh my God.
And ultimately, that's the answer to why you serve the Magus.
Oh my God.
How many times have I said I hate you, Jim, in our friendship? Because I'm going to add another one to it.
Possibly several, but I think this is the earliest in the stream that it's ever happened. So
this is very, very strong.
Oh, my heart! Coming straight for it. Oh.
He looks as the vision fades, and he just sort of is shaking his head, and he's again, he's just like, damn it. He just sort of whispers into the pool, damn it, Cass. And he just sort of looks over his shoulder. All right, let's go, I guess. Wherever you want to. Where is he? You want to expect we got to get this done, yeah? And that's the scene.
God
Oh,
damn
the
you,
scene.
Jim. God damn you, Jim.
I'm gonna turn the light on real fast.
I'm already mad. Already mad. God.
Oh, and it's your turn.
And yeah.
we want to move on to the Oak Hills.
It's either that or you can assign one of us a trait, right?
Yeah, if we go to the Rose Gardens, we can select traits if we want to do that. But I mean, those exist in future ones as well, so I'm fine if it's really just if anyone wants a trait, feel free to go in there. Basically, that's where you can go in and get a trait.
Oh yeah, you take the Magus there, and I can bring one of you in, right? Isn't that how that works?
Well, it says traits. Story prompts with a plus symbol or traits. After describing the scene, select one of the traits listed and describe how that is true about one of the characters. Yours or that of another player. So I feel like if this isn't just the regular
I go there and bring one of you into the scene.
Yeah, you can totally do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can either do that or move us along to Oak Hills, whichever you'd rather.
Got you, cool. Like I said, I've played this, but it's been a hot second.
We're all trying, this is the memory triathlon, right?
I think I'm gonna move on to Oak Hills.
Okay.
Because it's been
cool.
Yeah.
So you get to describe the Magus going into Oak Hills and what Oak Hills generally looks like, and then
the ending of summer.
Yeah.
So I think as we all, I'll just move us all to around the Magus. We're leaving Raven Hall as the temperature is. It's cool, but it's not like uncomfortably cool. Nights are colder. You need a pretty significant blanket or a jacket, but as we travel through the day, it's not something where you're, uncomfortably warm. It's pretty nice traveling weather. And we come into the Oak Hills. I covered it, and I have the worst memory in the world.
It's Oak Hills, yeah.
We come into the Oak Hills on the very first official day of autumn. In fact, Pearl carries a little notebook and a calendar that she likes to point out. As we're walking, she says, "Oh, look, it's autumn officially." And she says it as the sun is setting. We're about to stop to make camp. And she hums to herself a sort of little tune that they would sing in Barleytown when they would start the first day of harvest season, which is her favorite season because apple cider and pumpkin seeds and pumpkin pie and apple pie and other kinds of pie, and which she describes in very much detail to all of you, the way that her mother would make them and all the little cakes. And the first night that you all make camp in the Oak Hills, she undoes her little rucksack and shares the cakes that her mother packed for her, and make sure that each of you get your fill. And that is the ending of summer in the Oak Hills.
Okay. Is there anything you want to tell us about the Magus? You get to describe things about the Magus since you moved.
Oh yeah, I always forget that when we go into a new place. I think we learn that Pearl cannot bake very well because the cakes that she gives to Megan, the cakes that we give to the Magus are made with out of season strawberries. And not only that, but he doesn't exactly like strawberries as it is. So that first night, the Magus spends curled up in his tent, miserable. Pearl feels horrible about it, but we learn of the Magus's, despite his tough exterior and that strongness that he has about him, we learn about the Magus's compassion, because the Magus does not blame Pearl for one bit of it, despite it being her fault completely. It is 100% her fault, and she takes all the blame. We learn of his compassion because not once does he say that it is her fault. He says that he should have known better. He should have tried them first. We learn that he can take care of himself, even though he feels weaker than, or he's getting weaker by the day. His magic is fading. It's pretty obvious on the way that he looks, the way his clothes sort of hang on him. He doesn't have that light in his eyes that one would sort of know from the Magus. We learn just how kind-hearted he truly is.
Nice.
That's really good.
Yeah. So,
let me see. What do I want to do? I think I'm going to do making camp. And I think that I think Fawn has been following it a little bit of a distance. They're not properly part of the party in the same way that Caspian and Pearl are. In fact, I think they're doing another. I think they're writing a bird again. I'm certain that the Magus knows about them being there, and probably the two of you do as well. But they're still overhead, not participating really. And I think that the first time that they land is when you all are making camp, and as you're setting up your tents and building a fire and all of this stuff, they are building I think they've gathered like 4 or 5 big sticks and 4 or 5 big leaves, and they've made themselves like a little tiny tent like next to the corner of the Magus's tent. I think the first time that they end up talking to either of you is approaching you both and sort of putting their hand on their hip and saying, like, those oatcakes look good.
Oh, would you like one?
Half of one, if you'd be so kind.
Yeah, Pearl gets down on her little knees and lays out her rucksack and carefully, like, meticulously cuts one in perfect precision, which is like not only a sign of her doing it to be kind, but and like for you, but a sign of her beginning her training as a midwife. And she lays one out for you.
Here you go. Here, I hope that's good for you.
I'm sure it'll be great. This is a feast for me. And I think when they hold it up, it's like, I imagine it's like probably the size of like their torso.
It's probably already like this big as it is, and then like goes down to like this. So it's filling, I imagine.
Yeah. They like nod at her and look over at Caspian, and they're like, aren't we all so lucky to have such a little cook for us?
Yeah. Very. Yeah. This is actually really good compared to what I've been getting.
What have you been getting?
It's mostly stale bread.
Who would give you stale bread?
You just sort of glance and look over my shoulder at the magus, and I sort of look back, and I'm like, I was staying with folks that were not for a very long time, that were not good to everybody, I'll say.
Well, and she like gets that furrowed look on her brow again, that frustrated look, and crosses her arms.
Well, that's just very unfair. You should try at least to be as kind to people as you can, because you never know when you might come across them again in life. And what if you need something from them? I mean, I'm not saying do things for people because you might need something from them, but you want to do to people what you might want done to you. So what if I give you a cake here, and then one day down the line, I'm starving, or I just really, really want something sweet one day, and you have it to spare?
I think Fawn's like nodding along, like, oh yeah, you know, golden rule.
I wish more people would remember that.
It's a very good lesson to live by. It's what my mother taught me.
Sounds like a very intelligent lady.
I like to think
they take a big bite of the cake.
She's probably the smartest person in the world.
She sounds it.
She's just eating and nodding, like very, very sagely for an 11-year-old. Just like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think Fawn has definitely given Caspian a look of like, sounds like you've been in jail, buddy.
Yeah, totally went over Pearl's head.
Yeah.
Pearl doesn't know what jail is.
Is not going to bring Pearl in on this, but it's certainly like, the stale bread thing. Okay. Let's see. I think that I am going to throw. I think I'm going to give Pearl the descriptor kind. And I think also that Fawn has, like, after Pearl goes to bed, I think Fawn hangs out with Caspian for a little while. And just like, I don't know if they get into specifics, that's kind of up to you. But I think they talk a bit about just some weird scrapes that they've been in.
I'm thinking actually of just going ahead and continuing that when it comes over to my turn.
Okay.
Basically. As this is kind of like, I think that if you're good with the transition, if there's nothing else you want to do at this point.
No, I think that's it for me.
Okay, cool. So it's kind of as we're getting later in the evening. And I think that, Pearl is asleep, and I think that the Magus is asleep, and I'm just sort of coming back to check on, after checking on him, on the Magus, I'm just sort of like, you good? Sort of come back, and I'm like, he's, oh, hey, that's interesting. So it appears as though,
I think Avery started screen sharing on accident.
Hell, sorry about that. I was just trying to minimize the thing anyway.
Oh, no worries.
All right, that's done.
Technology. But it's. I think that Caspian's coming back over, and he sort of sits down as you're still sort of awake, sitting there, and is just like, so you've been following us for a while, yeah?
Yeah. Haven't been, I haven't been doing it discreetly, if that's what you're asking.
No, that's fine, but no, I've seen you've been dealing with things that sort of like trying to head them off, yeah?
I'm keeping a watch over you. I have let's say a personal interest in this this journey.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I understand. It's got to be. But no, what I'll say is I didn't notice you till we got over just into the pass there. So.
Well, that's that means I'm doing my job right, at least. And go ahead.
It's just. Have they told you anything about what's going to happen to him?
No one's told me anything. I take jobs for people, and I ply my trade where it's wanted. But like I said, this is a personal thing.
Yeah.
So if there's anything you want me to know, if there's anything you want me to look out for.
I'm just hoping he's going to make it the whole way.
I am too.
I don't know. There's certain things that I was told he's not allowed to have.
Strawberries?
I wish. Yeah. But I mean, it's not like they were going to let me have any of the stuff that they weren't going to let him have. Some of that, well, which I could really use a hit of right now. But no, it's if we get into sort of and we're going to be coming up on Barleytown in a bit. He's probably going to be fine. He's always been very good about this kind of thing, but he's not supposed to. He's not supposed to drink anything, any alcohol.
Are you asking me to watch him about doing this, or are you asking me to get him a flask on the sly?
He just sort of stops processing, thinking for a second. You could do that.
Is it obvious to a casual observer that the two of you are related, do you think, or is it something that you'd kind of have to...
I think we look nothing alike at this point.
Okay.
I think you'd have to look really hard to see the similarities at this point, probably. I think maybe at best it's like they're similar heights.
Right.
I figured you were really like scraggly looking, and clearly you'd been in jail, and he's very well taken care of. That's what I was seeing in my head.
I think I think it's that, and I think that probably it's possible that as he gets weaker, we might start looking more alike. But
oh, that's so depressing.
So it's so it's probably not obvious to the casual observer. It's like you have to look at their faces very carefully, and like when they're standing together, and it's possible, but
it might be easier for you because you're a spy master. But Pearl would never freaking know. I almost said a bad word as a child.
If you're detail,
can't cuss, Pearl.
If you're very detail oriented, you might have noticed something, but which you probably.
I think there's a suspicion. I think that there's. I wonder if there's also not some story about the Magus' like wastrel brother or whatever, or if there's some rumor maybe. But I don't think that Fawn is gonna voice their suspicions about it at this point. In fact, I think they're gonna I think they're I imagine them like sitting next to you and obviously like they have to stand up and like reach on tippy toes to like tap your shoulder in a seated position. And but they like put a hand on your shoulder and they're like, I want to look out for the guy. His safety and the completion of this journey is of interest to me. So if you know what he needs and he's too proud to say it, you let me know and I'll see if I can make it happen.
Thank you. Don't get the alcohol. That's just old instinct coming back for a minute there.
How about painkillers? Herbs to...
That would be helpful, yes.
I think you could probably talk to the girl about that too, but if she needs, if she needs some help getting something, I'll see what I can do.
Thank you. I'd like to assign the trait of cunning to you.
All right, I'll take it.
And I think that will be that'll just be the scene. And if we're good with it, I think we're going to go ahead. I just realized we're on the timing here. We'll go ahead and take a quick break if folks are good with it. And we'll be back in a few minutes. So we shall see you shortly. Thanks for watching. we have returned, and it was just my turn, so I think it is now Katie's turn.
Yeah, I wanted to do just a quick little scene by firelight. While Caspian and Vaughn are having this conversation, everything gets quiet. I think you two make your way to bed eventually, or maybe one of you keeps watch, but it just gets quiet, as things are wont to do in the night. Pearl opens her eyes eventually, just woke up, just not a bad dream or anything, but sometimes you just wake up in the middle of the night. And she looks at the fire. She's a little bit away from it, enough to stay warm, but enough that the light doesn't bother her as she's sleeping. She's that type of person that needs darkness to sleep, much like me in real life. And she turns her back to the fire so she can see the shadows, and she watches them dance for a little bit, just sort of lulling herself back to sleep. And she pulls her arm up and she looks at this bracelet it's very thick, and it's a bright gold and yellow, and if you look closely at it, you notice that it's woven from wheat and from barley, and it's very thick. It would take a lot to break it with the amount of wheat that it's weaved from. And she runs her fingers over it, and it looks almost like immaculately knitted, also in a darker wheat, is her name on it. And she runs her fingers over it, and she smiles, and she thinks of her family back in Barleytown. She's not far from home, but she knows that it's not time for her to return there and stay. She has a mission to fulfill that she promised herself. But she thinks of how proud her parents will be of her and her brothers and sisters, and how proud her whole town will be when she does this. And then she goes back to sleep as she watches the shadows dance from the fire.
Nice.
Sorry, my cat's tail is in my face. It's lovely. Get off. I think I'm gonna move the Magus.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. This means there's a bit of a choice, right, from Oak Hills, or do I go straight to Barleytown?
I think it's straight. If you don't mind, I'm just going to move this token real quick so I can see. Yeah, it's.
Oh, it is. Okay.
It goes right down to Barleytown.
Okay, it's Barleytown where you get the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you either go to Stormguard or Mistwood from Barleytown, I believe.
Okay, so let's go to Barleytown then. That transitions real well since there was Pearl just thinking about going back home.
Yeah.
So I think as we wake up in the next morning, we've been traveling these hills, and I think that after kind of a rough night, the Magus has sort of recovered, or at least is putting on I think he's kind of putting on a good face, even if he looks tired and maybe a little more worn than usual. But I think he's still somewhat stoic, right?
Yeah.
I think to the point where maybe no one but Caspian even notices that he's flagging a little. We come to this small town. I think it's probably going to be more up to Pearl to describe it since she's from here, but it's pastoral, and I think there are these beautiful golden fields outside, and breweries, and it's small, but it's clearly like everyone here is doing well for themselves, and gosh, I wonder who the Barley Lord is. I think and any input is super welcome. But I think it's a person who is in charge of a really large brewery, maybe the first brewery in the town. And I think that it has expanded into a restaurant and an inn, and it's sort of a place where, like, you know, people are like, oh, I think in fact that's the name of the inn, is the Barley Lord, right? And if you go through Barley Town, people are like, oh, make sure you stop in at the Barley Lord. They've got, you know, great beer, but they've also got, you know, great, like, desserts or whatever. And I think we end up staying there because the owner is into having the prestige of saying, oh, well, the Magus stayed here, and so he gives us our rooms for free.
Nice.
I like the idea that the Barley Lord isn't a person, that it's a place. I love that so much. That's a lot different than what I've usually played. Yeah. No,
that's great. That's great.
I think, I don't think that the person that owns this place goes by the Barley Lord. I think that's just the name of their inn.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm very glad you came up with that, because the only thing that popped into my head was a person made entirely of barley.
That's the mascot, Jim.
Yeah, it's like the
Barley Golem.
Can I tell you, the first campaign of this that I ever heard, that's exactly what they did.
Oh my god!
It was a person made
of the barley.
That just makes me think of Wicker Man.
Yeah, exactly. It was a person made of grain that you could only see from a certain vantage point on a hill.
Oh my god.
They were like those the mounds, you know, the native burial grounds that form like images of like guys or, you know, snakes or whatever. But it was made out of barley.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we're at.
Cool.
We got free rooms from Clout.
Good. That is awesome. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I guess it's back over to me. Okay. Hey, let's dig into the pain box again.
Oh dear God! If you go to confession, I swear to God. Okay.
Oh,
happy
better.
memory.
Way better.
It's way better.
I think that I'd like to have the Magus with me for this. If someone would like to be him.
Do you want to play Avery, or I can? It doesn't matter to me.
I
Since you just went, or do you want me to?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? Because it seems like you have an idea of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably, you know, early evening, and we're kind of out, just sort of looking at over at Oak Island. We're sort of on the banks of the river here, and there's still there's like I think this is the last. This is where they were, I think, the last time they did anything together. And so just comes down and he's looking at it and he's like, no, they took the pier away.
Last time we were here, it was beyond fixing. I imagined it would happen eventually.
Yeah, you're right. I can't. Do you remember when we grabbed that boat from them? We went out to the island and just sort of grabbed stuff from the fruit trees that were supposed to be on there. Or there were supposed to be fruit trees on there, and there was just mostly oak, and that was kind of the problem, as I recall.
There was one lone unripened lemon tree.
Oh, that's right. I was so pissed off because there was supposed to be people kept talking about folks planting like wild cherries and stuff out there.
And then one person in town said that you would find a lemon tree, and it was the sweetest lemon tree that you would ever find. But it was the damnedest sour thing.
Yes.
And I think like Casper starts to laugh, but it ends up going to like this fit of this very loud coughing fit.
Oh, come on. No, that's all right. You just sort of. You okay?
It's fine. It's fine.
I was so upset about that. Really.
Thought it was.
They were going to come and get you the next day.
Really?
You remember that? That's when they came for you.
He just nods. It was a good day.
It was. I wish they'd had some of those other damn trees on there that they'd kept talking about. That would have been much more perfect. I knew how much you liked cherries.
Despite the lack of trees, it was still a very perfect day, Caspian.
Yeah. And he looks over and he looks like he's about to try to say something else, and he's like, yeah, it was. And I think they just sort of sit there quietly staring at the thing as the sun is starting to go down. They're sort of staring out at the water and the island.
Yeah, I don't think Casper says anything else. He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
He's thinking about that day.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really, really good. I certainly hope that you didn't hear the ice cream truck go by.
I heard it for a moment, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all.
At least it didn't stop today. God damn it. It's like, great, perfect, during this adorable scene that's really like heart-wrenching.
I think I'm going to go to Matilda's farm. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Matilda's farm. And probably it's up. This can be a scene where all of you can be involved if you want to. It's not, you don't have to be if you don't want to. But you all, she's been talking like through the day excitedly about all the pigs and all the fields and stuff, and you watch as we all get closer. She swings the gate open and you just hear her go, "Mom!" Mom! And she's just screaming as she runs down this path, and this woman comes out. And she's like a shorter woman, honestly not that much taller than her daughter, but has the same brown hair, the same big green eyes, plumper. She comes out and puts her hand on Pearl's head, and Pearl like hugs her immediately and says, Mom, we need some help. And she points to the Magus. I don't know if anyone wants to play the mom.
I'll be the mom if you want.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I don't know if it's, she says, I think I'm going to assume that Fawn has told Pearl that they need like some herbs to help with the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Over the past couple of days.
They definitely sought her out about that. I think Fawn doesn't know very much about medicine, so they're like, may as well ask the kid who knows something, you know?
Yeah. Cool. And she like looks up at her mom and says, I think we need some medicine.
All right, honey, let's bring them on back and we'll find out what they need. Why don't you show me how much you've learned?
Yeah, immediately
I think she ruffles your hair.
Yeah. Pearl loves it, and immediately she goes to grab the Magus by his hand, and like without is not asking for permission, just grabs the Magus and little 10-year-old legs dragging the Magus. Come on, you're a patient now. We gotta go. And it's just like horrible bedside manner. Horrible. And is grabbing her, and she's like, everyone, this is my mom, Matilda. I'm gonna try to help the Magus as much as I can. So at least this journey, I don't want him to be uncomfortable anymore. And is gonna pull the Magus back to like where they might perform, any kind of deliveries, where they might check patients, that kind of place in the back of their farmhouse.
Yeah, it's probably like a back bedroom that's just very like clean and like soothing colors. And
pretty
stuff like
neutral,
that.
Yeah, and everything they need stocked up. Mm-hmm. And I think you see Pearl like standing in front of this little stock, or maybe like even in a larder. She's just standing there like, and thinking over like how she's seen his symptoms and how he's described it and how she's heard Caspian and Fawn speak. And she's just like, okay, so weakness, he doesn't feel good. The strawberries were my fault, but should probably address that. And then she just starts grabbing herbs, and you see it's probably like a smash cut of her grinding up things in a mortar and pestle, making some salves and brewing teas and stuff. And she comes out to her mom and she's like, I think this is right. And she goes over what she's done, just staring at her mom for that approval that she's done something right.
Yeah, I think during that like little montage thing, it's like every once in a while, not that often, but every once in a while, there's like when she's sort of flagging, you see her mom's hand like reach up and be like, that one.
Yes.
And I think once she's done, her mom like leans down and kind of sniffs it and is like, okay, so you put, X, Y, and Z in here, right? And you mix them in this order, right? And I'm sure like,
she's just nodding, like, yeah. And it's like has big eyes, like a great student, like, yeah, did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think her mother's like, you really have learned a lot out there, honey. And she like ruffles her hair again and gives her like a little kiss on the cheek and is like, I think you've done a great job. I think you're already learning so much.
Pearl gives her mom the biggest hug. Like, it's not like Pearl's the strongest, but she squeezes her mom as tight as she can.
Yeah.
And kisses her mom on the cheek too, and she leans down. And I think she goes to give the Magus some medicine. She packs up more doses of it so they have it for the trip, to make sure that the Magus is taken care of. She makes sure if Caspian needs anything, because to him, he also looks very weak to her, you know. She's just like, you need anything? Because I got you if you do.
If you would also like some tea, if you're feeling weak, I can brew you some as well.
Maybe no. I'm fine. I'll have a little.
She brews him like a small little glass of it. It doesn't taste bad, but it's very obviously medicinal and flowery. Yeah, like it's that kind of taste. But it's not bad. It's surprising after the debacle with the strawberries, but it's okay. And I think she even I think she shows off Fawn to her mom because Fawn is so very curious to her. Never seen anyone like them before. And she asks if Fawn needs anything. She wants to make sure that Fawn is also taken care of.
They probably do something where they're like weirdly suave to her mom.
I love that.
Oh, so you made those oatcakes? They were really good, ma'am. Like, it's really
tip of the hat, you know?
Yeah, totally. Like winking, and everyone's like, "Listen, you don't have to do that."
Pearl doesn't get it. Pearl just thinks it's really cool. I think like Pearl, even at like 11, Pearl is very motherly. Even to Caspian, you know, Pearl is just very much a mother, and she goes around and makes sure everyone is taken care of. And then as like the night falls, she curls up beside her mom on like this love seat, very plush love seat, and she falls asleep beside her mom, still with like this two or three sizes too big apron on that has been dragging on her feet the whole day as she's worked. Her hair pulled up in a very messy bun, you know, but she's obviously exhausted. She's worked all day, but she's so proud of herself, and I think that's where the scene ends.
Yeah, I think when you're first presenting your medicine to the Magus, Matilda's standing behind you with her like hands on your shoulders and is like extremely proud, but is definitely letting you like do the thing. Like she's like, and you've asked about their symptoms, and you've given them their like she's not really walking you through it, but she's like, here's the things you did great, like good job.
Here's the things you need to work on, like making sure that's so perfect.
And like pushing her forward a little and being like, stand up straight, honey. You're a professional now, you know?
Oh, yes.
And that's what I think. Good. That's what she thinks you need.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I love that. I think that's the end.
Nice.
God, I love Pearl so much. Okay, I think I will do a thing also here since I was the Magus last time, or since I did the Magus last time. I'm gonna go to the Inn of the Axe and Fiddle. I think we spend a little time in Barleytown maybe, or at least enough time that that Fawn has a moment to go out on the town a little bit, and either of you can be here. I mean, Pearl's obviously not gonna, have a glass of ale or whatever, but like I imagine it's more a dinner than a like let's go out drinking. Yeah. Also, I don't think Fawn drinks because I think that would probably kill them because they're tiny. But I think they like going out to inns and bars for companionship. So they're at this like kind of dive bar, and there are a couple of other small people there. I think sitting. It sounds like I'm making an Elf on the Shelf joke, but I think probably there are shelves where this type of person hangs out, because like sitting at a table looks kind of stupid. And so they like and I think there's like small ladders for them to get up. I think it's a pretty accessible place. And they sit down and they start doing like drinking songs. I think this is whatever race they are, it's not a super common one anymore. I think there used to be a lot more of them and now there's not. And so when they do meet up, it's really exciting, and like it's like meeting up with friends from a really long time ago. And so they sing a couple of songs about famous battles against like crows and like badgers. They sing a couple of songs that are like old love ballads. They sing like a couple of joke songs about like, I think they sing one song that's making fun of people who are human-sized, and another song that's making fun of how like it's like a joke song about like crossing a river, but like it feels like an ocean and it's just like a huge pain in the ass. And then I think the last song that they sing together is a song about how it's like an origin story, or like a creation myth, I guess. And it goes something like, we crawled out of a pile of loam, we came from the forest floor, we grew like mushrooms, and we and we spread out across the world, and just like mushrooms, our roots are all connected, something like that. And yeah, there's this sense of like, there aren't a lot of us left, and we're all over the place, but we're all still the same people. Yeah.
Very good.
I love that. I love that so much.
Nice.
I've been thinking about funny like things that a race of tiny people would make fun of themselves for. And mostly it was like, God damn it, everything's so big.
It's fair.
I think that they wouldn't have sung the rude song about how clumsy large people are if Caspian or Pearl were there, but.
Ah, yes. Well, there we are. Okay, so when it comes back around to me, would you folks be okay with my moving the Magus at this point?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we have a choice of going to Mistwood or going to Stormguard Mountains.
Would you face your crimes, fugitive?
Well, I was thinking that would be the way of pain. So of course, I'm thinking of putting us through the Stormguard Mountains.
Let's go to some
I
mountains.
genuinely don't care. I just like being a smartass. You know that.
Well, no, that's actually what I was thinking of, though. That's the because.
But
of
no,
course.
I don't care either way. I just think it'd be really funny.
Well, in that case, we do have to go to this castle, and I think that's
Of
narratively interesting
a lot
for
of
sure.
Storm Queen.
So, yeah.
If folks are okay with it, I'm gonna, I'm not trying to I just don't want to try to take up too much spotlight for it. But
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think Caspian's origins are very interesting.
Especially being the brother of
the.
the Magus. Yeah, I like that a lot.
So I think what we see as we're approaching these mountains, it's like, I think last night. Anyone who was nearby sort of heard something that sounded sort of like an argument that Caspian was having with the Magus. But ultimately, if anyone asked sort of the next day, he's not saying much. Caspian's not saying much at this point. But apparently, what he has said is that, and that what the Magus I think has said is that the path lies through here. And so that's where they're headed. We see these foothills that turn into larger hills, and then ultimately rocky hills, and then as we're heading up and up, this chain of mountains that we're going to be taking a pass through. We can see in the distance these clouds atop the mountains that are kind of sort of start rolling up, and they are these, you see these blues and purples in them, and crashes of lightning. And we know that as we take this route, it will not be easy, and there will be a need to find shelter. And I think that's my turn.
I don't know which one to do. I sort of want to do scouting ahead because I love the idea of rolling. But would any of you let an 11-year-old scout ahead? Or she'd have to do it on her own, right? Like, it'd have to be her being like, it'd have to be her being like brave, or one of you coming with her, clearly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you scout ahead, I reckon Fawn's probably gonna come along.
It'd be her being like, well, I'm going with you. Yeah, so I'm gonna do scouting ahead, and I'm gonna roll a d6. Okay.
Awesome. 1.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna invite myself along on that, if that's all right with you.
I was really hoping for a 6. I knew it would be a 1, but I was hoping for a 6.
Oh, hell's teeth. I'm excited for this child to get ambushed, God.
Oh, no.
Me too! So do we want to say that it's Fawn I think if we're going to say it's Fawn, I think that one day she sees, one morning, before the weather is getting, we all know the storm is coming, be it the physical, the actual literal storm, or this, metaphorical storm. She sees you getting on, this bird that you tend to stick to. Mm-hmm. And she walks over to you and is like, where are you going?
Jim, just real fast, is this good with you? Like, does Caspian want to do this more? I didn't want to, step on your toes.
No, you're fine. Absolutely fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think they've switched birds by this point to like an owl or something.
They probably switched to a more a better bird for the territory wherever they go to, I imagine.
Yeah, I think that there's an unseen ritual every couple days where Fawn goes out into whatever wilderness and basically puts a harness on a bird and
you wrestle a bird. You wrestle a bird for dominance.
So I think now they've got a snow owl or a ptarmigan or something, a bird that hangs out in the mountains. And I think they're I'm going to look ahead. You wanting to come along?
Can I help? Yeah, I think so. If I won't get in, I won't get in your way.
No, I'm gonna be up in the sky. But I'm sure you can be my eyes on the ground. You can look out for pitfalls and ice bridges that might not bear our weight, because I'm not the best judge of that. Stuff like that. What do you think?
She's nodding excitedly because you said she could help. Yeah, and that's what she wants to do. And as you take to the sky, this is natural for Fawn, right? This is what Fawn does.
Yeah,
this is their job.
Yeah. It occurs to me I probably should have made them a ranger with what they're doing on this, but there's not a lot of spying that I can be doing, so...
Same thing, same difference. Spy master. But, yeah, she watches as they take off on the bird, and like it takes her a few minutes to like spot you in the sky, but once that she has her eye on you, she follows off, and like in her mind she's being completely stealthy. You know, she is doing her best, tiptoeing through the snow, and you see it before she does, because they're on this pass through the mountains that, you know, Caspian and the Magus had pointed out. Clearly, I would say that they probably know this area. At least Caspian knows this area better than we do, because this is where he was captured for whatever happened. You see it before Pearl does. Something emerges from the stone in the pass. It looks to be sort of like a stone golem. Various of them come out with what looks like shields and spears, swords. You would recognize them, Fawn, as Alana Storm Queen's knights, as her guards. Grabs Pearl, and like the last thing you hear is a very frustrated, angry, "Let me go!" Like she's screaming and mad, not scared at all. She's angry that someone dared stop her and helping you, and I think that's where the scene ends.
Oh my god.
As she's, you know, kicking her little legs, she's being held up. They're not hurting her. Clearly, she's not a threat to them, but she's mad.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the thing I do is.
I don't think. I mean, if you don't, it doesn't have to be in chronological order. So if you wanted to do something before, but.
Well, I think what I want to do is go down to. Oops, that's the Magus. I think I want to go down to Storm Queen Pass, the worsening weather, and I think the way I want to do that is. Fawn, I think, follows overhead, because they're not going to be able to do anything against stone golems. They're 10 inches tall, and they're a flesh person, like it's true, and they're also not like a combat person, really. I think they follow along until they're aware that Pearl is going to be okay. I think they see her taken into the castle, and then they fly back to alert the other two. And I think it's like Caspian and the Magus are sort of struggling along through the snow, and the wind has come up, and there's clearly a storm blowing in, because we're in the Storm Guard Mountains, you know, why wouldn't there be? And it's like you hear a bird cry, and then you see someone falling out of the sky and landing in front of you in the snow, and then sort of digging their way out a little bit, because they went punched through a bit, and they stand up in front of the two of you and are like, Pearl has been taken by men made of stone to a castle. We should hurry. She's unharmed. I don't know their intentions.
All right. I know where they're taking her.
I don't think they'd harm a child.
I think they turn to the Magus and they're like, I certainly hope that you're right. And then back to Caspian, and I've seen the castle. It's upon a mountain. You know it?
I know it very well.
We're going there, right?
Yes. And I just sort of, and just basically, it's sort of as I'm just sort of looking over at the Magus, and just I'm like, yes. And yeah, I think that's. So I'll immediately get up and start getting ready to go.
Yeah. I think as we're, getting organized, yeah, the weather is still worsening, and Fawn is pacing a bit, and I think getting a little annoyed at Caspian. I think they're not being super understanding because of lack of context. They finally go up to him and are like, "You don't seem to be as urgent as maybe you should be."
But to Caspian, this is like, there's a pretty fair chance when I go in there, I'm not coming back out. But we can't let them take her.
Stale bread, is that right?
Yes. It was about time I dealt with this anyway. I suppose. And actually, I just sort of look up and they give this sort of rueful look at the Magus, and it's like, as some people have been telling me.
I didn't make your choices for you. You made them.
No. You're right.
Now you're choosing to deal with them.
I'm sorry.
Is this something where you could have an advocate?
Yeah, I suppose so. Depends on how she's feeling about it.
You think she'd have a grudge after all these years?
I think Fawn kind of raises their eyebrow at all these years. Sorry, go ahead.
Her grudges were rather impressive at the time. I don't know that she would have... I suppose it's possible that's improved with age, but one never knows.
Maybe some of the ice has melted. Despite the weather.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
That's something you're willing to do, Fawn, advocate for Caspian.
What I'm willing to do right now is move us forward in defense of this little girl. What I am willing to do later depends a bit on a conversation with Caspian, I imagine. But for now...
What happens to me doesn't matter. We just have to get her out.
You've been a good traveling companion, and I do hate to see people punished beyond what they're able to bear. For now, let's keep through the trail. It's getting dark. It's getting cold. It's been cold, but it's getting colder, so.
You must get there before night falls.
I think Fawn nods and whistles, and their bird comes down, and they fly up ahead, and I think they're sort of within eyesight and being a bit of a guide to like where the castle is, even though probably neither of you need it right now. But that's what they're good at the moment, so.
You keep an eye out for guards, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's true.
So
we already had an ambush.
So I'm just going to ask briefly, do we want to say the next round is the last round, or do we want to say the round after that?
I think with time and what we're sort of going for, I think this next one could be the last one, because it's 10 till.
Yeah, and it's a dramatic stopping point, right?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I will point out this doesn't have to be a. This is not going to connect to the one next week, so this is we can do whatever we want. We can blow the castle up if we want. So what I will do then is I will go ahead and move the Magus to Castle Stormguard, as we have the hospitality of Alana Storm Queen. I think as she has stone golems, so this is a site where some degree of magic remains. So I think, and it's been hinted that she is connected to the storms themselves. So I think what we're going to see is that the Magus leads us calmly. He doesn't seem to have concern about what's going to happen for whatever reason. Up through after we get through the pass, we basically head toward the castle, and I think, let's play it this way. I think as the Magus reaches the sort of like the outer pass, as we reach the outer pass, our band. A couple of guards appear, and it seems we are expected. And they just gesture for us to enter.
Yeah, I think as we, you know, the two of you are waylaid, I guess, Fawn lands and ends up riding on Caspian's shoulder, I guess. It's like a sort of support.
Is it my turn? Oh, no, sorry.
I think
oh, go ahead.
unless you wanted to get anything in between Fawn and Caspian before this flips over, then I think we're good. But it's just I'm going to let Avery answer that with her.
I'm interested in. No, you're totally good. I'm interested in Fawn wanting to have to ask, "Hey, what did you do?" but not having time.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm totally fine with Pearl going first.
All right. Cool. Right now, what I did is still a little vague, but even in my brain. But I have a vague idea, which we can sharpen in just a moment. But it's over to Katie.
I'm going to go to Commoner's Hall, Beautiful Dancer.
Interesting.
Pearl is brought in by one of the stone golems, and she's not to her surprise, she's not taken to a jail cell or a dungeon or something. She has all of these horrific ideas in her mind of where she'll be taken. And for the when she's taken into the castle, she's for the first time actually scared because she doesn't want to be put in some jail cell or something like that. That terrifies her. She's taken into this hall. She's given a bowl of what looks like thick porridge, something, to keep meat on your bones because it's such a cold place. And she sits there and eats. And she sits there alone for a little while. And she has a conversation. We don't see it. We don't hear it. But you see the back of what we seem to believe is Alana Storm Queen. She's at least from her back, a beautiful woman who sits there in all white. And the conversation is just short. It's not anything, doesn't seem to be anything that threatens Pearl. And when Alana stands up and leaves, Pearl has a smile on her face as sitting on the table in front of her is a shard of ice that Alana has molded with her hands to be a ballet dancer. It's not turning or anything. It's not anything really too magical. It's not like, because magic is dying in the world, it's not turning or dancing magically or anything, but she has carved it probably outside of, something that a normal person would do. She's carved it very easily, but it's a ballet dancer in a pirouette, and Pearl is holding it, and you see she's holding it very delicately. One, so her hands don't get too cold, and two, so she doesn't break the arms and the legs, the very delicate points of ice. And she's smiling, and she watches as Alana sort of darts off into another part of the castle, and Pearl can hear as she says that she needs to meet with the guests. And that's where the scene ends. Pearl waiting.
Mm. Oh man. What to do? I feel like, well, Jim, it feels like you should have like one of these more dramatic ones, but I don't want to take it from you.
No, do whatever you like.
I'm not sure. The Hall of Knights just says the best. I'm not sure how to interpret that. But I think I'm gonna do the Tomb of the Storm King, and I would like the Magus to be there if either of you want to play him.
Do you want to, Jim, or I can keep playing him? It doesn't matter to me.
You've been doing a very good job at magusing. We can.
I continue to magus.
And then if Caspian also wants to be there, then that's totally reasonable.
I think. I don't know if he'll be able to, but he can. If they let him, then yes.
I imagine. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking: is the Tomb of the Storm King is the way that you get into the keep. You pass through this. It's almost foyer isn't quite the right word, but it's like a grand hall, and there's a tomb in the middle of it, and this is like the waiting room while we're waiting to be received by the Storm Queen, who is very busy right now making a dancer for a little girl, which is a great character detail. And as we're waiting, and it might take a little while Fawn turns to the Magus and says, what happens in this place, will it determine your future or only your brother's? And I think this is the first time that they've said, like, I figured out that you guys are related. Like,
I don't think there's like an ounce of shock or any sort of emotion on the Magus's face. He seems to think for a moment and then sort of shrugs a bit. I need my brother's assistance to help magic flourish again, so I imagine it will determine both of our futures.
I think then Fawn turns to Caspian and says, my friend, I have a confession to make. I've told you that I'm following you on selfish motives, on personal motives. My people are dwindling. We're people of magic, and I said that I would advocate for you. I said that I would take your side with certain caveats. But if it comes down to it, I have to confess that returning magic is worth more to me than your fate. And I apologize, but you deserve the truth. And I think they kind of look away.
No, it's fine. I didn't think it would come to this. I didn't think it would be like this. But it makes sense in a way. This is the only way it's going to happen. He just sort of looked up, and he just sort of looks over at the Magus. You knew all along, didn't you? You had to have.
I had my suspicions, but I also had my doubts. You can't have one without the other. Her magic dwindles too. Look at her golems. They're barely holding it together. They're crumbling and falling apart. She can't take much pleasure in capturing a little girl, Caspian. She needs me alive just as much as everyone else does.
I know. And I just sort of will look over and I will just sort of say to Fawn, well, like I said, what happens to me, it's no longer important. But
I'm not withdrawing my offer.
please make sure. We need to make certain whatever happens in there, we can still get him to the we can still get him to the Umbra. To the Umbra, is that what it was? The Umbra.
Yeah, that's
the glow. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. The realm of Umbra. You can still get him to Umbra.
It's only if it comes down to a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I inherit is this responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Which feels shitty and bad, and like I think Fawn can maybe count on 3 fingers the amount of times that they've spent talking to the Magus, and they've probably hung out with Caspian more. And so it's like, oh great, yeah, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, cool. So
It's your turn to wrap us up, Jim.
okay. So
Yep.
okay, you want me to go ahead and take a turn, and that'll be the last? Okay.
Unless you don't want, unless you feel like that's a good way to end it.
I'll go ahead and I'll do a thing, just so just so I don't have. It's either going to be like the stockades or the Court of Swords. I think the Court of Swords is going to be more interesting.
Yeah, I definitely, those were the 2 that I was avoiding. So
I think we're probably all here at the Court of Swords.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Where we disagree. I think we're finally all brought through the tomb. I think that we're brought, and it's basically the golems are holding their swords aloft. Those that are able to, as the queen stands there before the throne. I think Pearl is in the room. As we come in. Now let's see. The element of danger, I described the danger and then roll. I think that's the thing. I think we're pretty clear on what the peril is. But I think that we're going to see that there's going to be a moment when Caspian is permitted to speak his piece. I think it's probably what's going to happen. Just there's this sort of this. I think the queen probably is looking at it sort of like, well, and he just says, I think Caspian is just going to look up at her. And there's a light smile on his face. If I could take it back, I would. I ran from my responsibilities. I ran from you. And I thought I could find something in another kind of life. And as it turned out, I got myself thrown in jail instead. Tried to steal someone's horse. I know that words mean little, but I'm not that man anymore. I think he died in prison. But if the only thing that will satisfy what I have done here is to imprison me or take my life, do whatever you will with me, but just, this girl is just starting her life. Please just let her finish what she set out to do. The magic is dying, and I need to, I am here to meet my responsibilities. Finally. That's why I even took this, that's why I'm on this trip. just ask that if you do, that if you would please, Majesty, do whatever's in your power to make sure they complete their journey. I finally realized, as per our last conversation, that I am not the center of the universe. And I'm going to roll a die. 3. Who is right?
Who is right?
It's an excellent question. I think, if I may take a bit of poetic license with this, I think maybe what we'll see is, if we can do this almost representationally, we just see her extend her hand. And then I think we crossfade, and we see Pearl and Fawn helping the Magus toward the glow. And I think that's the last that we see of it.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Cool, cool. Well, I think that will wrap this up. I see that we're having audio issues.
I cut out immediately after... Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I cut out immediately after you said extend my hand. It's so irritating because that's the dramatic moment.
It was a little ambiguous, basically.
Okay.
That the
Oh, dear.
Alana extended her hand, and as though perhaps we don't know if it's in forgiveness or in, but it looks as though perhaps she's extending her hand toward Caspian.
Mhm.
And then we just crossfade, and we see Fallen and Pearl leading the Magus into the glow.
All right. I'm very annoyed at my audio setup. So it's like, really?
The worst possible moment.
Every time.
But that said, our tale has, I think, come to an end.
So good.
That was
Yes.
fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you so much for playing.
Yes.
Glad I finally got to play Fall of Magic in and of itself. The base game. Very cool. We're going to go ahead and do our outros. We'll go reverse order, and feel free to say where folks can find you and any thoughts or standout moments about this game. And we will start with Avery.
Okay, well, thank you so much for hosting and having me on. So yeah, my name's Avery, like I said. I don't really have much of a web presence at the moment. My Twitter is @Crapioca, like tapioca, but crappy. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and I can't have asked for a better intro to streaming actual play stuff.
Yay! Thank you so much for coming. This was really fun. I loved the choices you made with Fallen. It was really good.
Thank you.
And Katie.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thank you so much for because I didn't think I'd be able to play because you would do it for 2 sessions and I wasn't going to be able to make it next week. You sent me a message and I was like, yeah, I'll play today. I really want to. So because I love this game and I knew it was going to be great playing with y'all. So I'm glad I got to. I'm Katie. You can find me all over the internet at KatieFace. You can also find me tomorrow over on Tales from the Grim. I'm back with Jim, guesting on Dead World, not the right game, Dead Lands. You can also find me through the words are, I need to get off of screaming today. Oh God, off the _ the table, playing Tuesdays, I'm in Alas from the Awful Sea. Fridays, Lady Blackbird. Our finale is coming up soon in 2 weeks. Alternating Fridays is D&D. Our new season is coming up soon. We just announced that we'll be playing Good Society. I cannot remember what the other, Liminal, and there's another one that Jess, Little Cup of Joe, is running. I cannot remember it off the top of my head. Everything is happening so much today. We're going to be having another game that's taking place.
Godsend. Sorry.
Godsend. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There's another one that _Cinder is going to be running in the Cypher system that's going to be taking place of Lady Blackbird. We're really excited for that one. It's like Cypher system, but we're like renaming stuff and doing our own little like Adventure Time kind of post-apocalyptic bubblegum universe kind of thing. It's going to be really fun. You can also, if you like podcasts, you can find us on your favorite podcatcher. We're a little slow right now because the holidays have just messed everyone's brains up. We're still in recovery mode, bless our hearts. But if you like Urban Shadows, I'm on Cape Lorelei. We have a sister podcast called East Beach. We're in the process slowly of returning. We're getting our recaps done, everything like that, and scheduling recording sessions again. But if you like podcast, you can listen to that one. And also Sundays now, we had our premiere today over on Salty Sweet Games on Twitch of our Witcher campaign. It's Witcher, but very queer, very gay. We have our token male, as we call our GM now. Yeah, we'd love for you to come out. It's 8 a.m. PST in the mornings on Sundays. We'd love for you to come check it out. Check out the VOD if that's way too early for you, because I'm not a morning person. I don't know how I'm doing it. But the first session was really good this morning. I'm very excited for what's going to happen to that. We encountered, spoiler alert, 6 wolves today. That's going to be fun next week. Yeah, I hope everyone comes out and watches that. But yeah, thank you, Jim, for having me. And I'm so glad I got to see your first actual play streaming experience, Avery. It was a blast to play with you. I loved everything that you did. I had so much fun.
So good. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, and folks, do go check that out over on Salty Sweet Games, that campaign, because it has started out wonderfully. Katie, thank you so much for coming and playing playing my first actual base game of Fall of Magic with me. I very much appreciate it. It's always wonderful to have you.
Me and Jim always having those father-daughter relationships. It's literally happened in every fucking game we've been in together.
It has, yeah. Well,
sometimes you have a dynamic with someone.
It's literally what it is. That's our dynamic now.
we managed to avoid it in that last Urban Shadows.
That's true. We were weird best frenemies in that one.
That was so good. But awesome having you on. It was wonderful. But as for me, once again, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I have links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, things that I'm working on, and links to applications to join the Discord. Let's see, what else is happening? On this channel, in about 45 minutes, we're going to be continuing our Dark Matter campaign, the Ghosts of Saltmaw. So tune into that if you are so inclined. Tomorrow night, Monday nights, I'm running Deadlands over on Tales from the Grim. The pledge level was made to include stones.
I don't want to hear about it, Jim.
There's
Katie's informed us that she's in danger.
I don't want to hear about it. I'm mad. I'm mad.
things might be happening. And Tuesday on this channel, hopefully if we can get everything together, will be the premiere of our February mini campaign, which will be Apocalypse World. It'll be my first time actually doing anything with that, so I'm going to be trying to run that. Wednesday nights here on this channel, we have Masks. We just started our campaign of that within the last couple of weeks, and it is very promising so far. And then, of course, on Saturdays, back here we have our Invisible Sun campaign in the evenings, and it's called The Edge of Paradox. And of course, then we come back around to Sundays when we will do another one-shot of Fall of Magic with more players. And I am delighted to see how that tale turns out. Sign-ups. I don't have any sign-ups open right now because I've been frenzied trying to get a bunch of things together. I'm hoping soon to open sign-ups for Shotguns and Sorcery. It's a Cypher System game that is sort of fantasy noir. So we'll see if we can get that together. Hopefully we will. But whenever you want to be on the lookout for that, you go and click on RPG sign up down below, or go to jimyesthatjim.com, click on game sign up, and as always, beginners are welcome. So when we hit the end card, let's see. Who is doing things? People are doing things. Let me see. Okay, yeah, there's a thing just starting up. D&D just starting up over. It is they're concluding their Grim Femmes campaign over on the Happy Capster that channel. So I'm going to go ahead and send a raid over there. So feel free, if you wish, to hang on and go and say hi to them with us. That will again be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.